A little about today's webinar, Preventing Claims with Automation, IoT, and Connected Services. The webinar is presented by Insurance Nexus. I will be moderating. My name is Stephen Applebaum, and I'm the Managing Partner of Insurance Solutions Group. We've got two wonderful guest panelists, very experienced thought leaders with us today, BJ Treese from Travelers and Ramon Lopez from USAA. I will introduce them at greater length shortly, but I just wanted to welcome everybody while we're all getting registered and logged in, and remind everybody that today's webinar is actually presented in conjunction with the second annual Connected Claims Summit, which is taking place on May 21st and 22nd at the Sheraton Grand in Chicago. And the two individuals we have speaking today, along with 30 more industry thought leaders, will be presenting and participating in that conference and in the summit. I'd invite all of you to register for the event. We'll speak more about that later. I also have online with me my colleague Emma Sheard from Insurance Nexus. She's the head of innovation. And in the event that my cold gets the better of me today and this cough sneaks up on me, I may ask Emma to step in and assist, but otherwise I think we'll be fine. Emma, if someone would just let me know when I can begin with a full introduction, when we've got most of our registrations logged in, I will go ahead. Okay, sounds like we're ready to roll. So a little bit on today's theme. And first of all, I will say that with the number of registrations in excess of 2,000 for this webinar, that in itself indicates the level of interest in this subject. And basically what we're talking about today, and we'll be talking about at the conference in even greater detail, is the following. And it is, with the rise of connected technologies, carriers can provide services for real-time claims resolution, and they can help customers proactively manage their own risks. So the question is, how can carriers utilize this transformation and reach the ultimate in risk management, which is stopping or preventing claims from ever occurring in the first place? That may sound a little futuristic, but I think after today's session, you may have a better idea of just how far we're moving in that direction. So in today's webinar, we'll provide insights into how industry innovators, including Travelers and USAA, see the claims process going from reduction to elimination of claims across three general areas. Number one, get in early with real-time risk assessment. The risk of sensors and IoT data is enabling customers and insurance carriers to identify risk before it becomes a claim. But how can carriers collect and store this information effectively? That'll be one aspect of our discussion. The second is automatically turning data to action, utilizing advanced analytics and increasingly artificial intelligence to generate insights and automatically enable real-time risk mitigation, integrating service proposition provisions and customer-led action to stop a claim from occurring. And then finally, engaging customers with personal risk management, building a two-way relationship around educating and supporting customers to take responsibility for reducing their own risks, integrating dynamic, personalized communications. That sounds like a pretty interesting and challenging agenda for the day, and I believe our speakers are completely up to the task. Let me proceed, please, to introduce more fully BJ Treese and Ramon Lopez. BJ Treese is the Managing Director for Emerging Property Products at Travelers Insurance. He's an insurance leader with over 10 years in the industry and experience with auto, home, and other specialty products. He's skilled in leading and coaching teams, researching and sizing market opportunities and pricing, and designing personal insurance products. Ramon Lopez is the Vice President of Claims Innovation at USAA. and he has almost 15 years working in the financial service industry. He's skilled in large-scale operations management, risk management, property and casualty insurance innovation, coaching, and strategic planning. He's a forever learner and currently attending UTSA's Executive MBA program. Again, thank you to both of you and welcome to the webinar. The format for today was pretty straightforward. I'm going to ask each of our panelists to present some of their thoughts on the topics that we just mentioned for about 10 minutes apiece. I'm going to ask every member of the audience to jot down any questions you have or enter them in the panel on the side of the website. And after the presentation by each of BJ and Ramon, I will moderate the questions and put them to our guest panelists, and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So without any further delay, I think we can proceed to ask BJ Treese to share some of his thoughts. BJ?
Thanks, Stephen and Emma, for hosting this event and for asking me to speak at it. And hello to everybody listening live or listening to the recording later. As Stephen said, I've got about a little over a decade of experience in building products in the personal insurance space. And I wanted to start by first getting a quick elephant out of the room. Like, let's say that claims are going away, not all claims, obviously, right? Like weather claims are still going to exist, but we're talking specifically about the more behavioral claims that we think we can avoid. I'm a firm believer, and I think Travelers is a firm believer as well, that some claims will be avoided completely, and at the very least, they'll be mitigated meaningfully by connected devices. In the property space specifically, all of the new sensors and devices that can be put into homes are wonderfully adept at determining risk in real time and alerting either an insurance company or a fire or police station or the insured themselves, and many times all three simultaneously, that something is happening that needs to be reacted to. Since those devices can prompt customers to intervene themselves and avoid a claim, that really changes the way that the industry can interact with these customers. And I think it will vastly improve the customer engagement model. The industry can be viewed as a team as opposed to a vendor. Today, we're just someone who comes in and fixes the problem. I think tomorrow we'll be a teammate of our insureds and our customers in determining ways to avoid risk or to mitigate the risk immediately when something is starting to happen at the property. That, along with the reduction in total claims, because some things will be completely avoidable, the capacity that creates and the trust that the becoming a teammate can conspire together, those two things can conspire to really give the industry an opportunity to offer more value-added services. Yes, world-class claim experience rather. That'll be a no-brainer and will sort of fall out from the new ways that we're interacting with our customers in the short term and long term here. But it also gives us a chance to use some of the skills that we've built up as an industry to offer adjacent products and adjacent services. Can we help our customers with home maintenance and home care? Can the devices tell us your hot water heater is malfunctioning, or hey, it's time to get your furnace serviced? Has it been a few too many years since you've had the hoses on the back of your washing machine replaced? These are all ways that we can start to interact with the customers with this real-time data to help them understand what causes those loss risks and what can they do proactively to try and avoid them up front. And then also, can we be a trusted advisor for them when they want to improve their homes? They want to build a new deck, or they want to make an addition to their house. They want to finish the basement. These are things that we already do as an industry. Usually we do them after there's been a loss, but there's no reason why we couldn't become a more proactive use case for our insureds. And I definitely see a world where we could absorb the space that things like Home Advisor or Angie's List fill today. So what is Travelers doing specifically? Well, we're doing a couple of things, but one thing I want to bring to everybody's attention in particular, we have what we call Claim University here at Travelers. It's a 110,000 square foot facility up in Windsor, Connecticut, just north of Hartford here where I'm at. It's full of classrooms and virtual classrooms as well as physical classrooms, but most interestingly for today's conversation, it's got the property lab, which includes 2 full-sized, fully furnished residential homes, complete with all the mechanics and everything that need to go in there. And it's also got some smaller storefronts and mock-up demonstrations. And Travelers has fitted all of those with a number of integrated smart home technology sensors. We've got bridges, we've got water detectors, we've got smart smoke detectors and smart thermostats, really the whole suite. And we're using that, obviously, to make sure that we are aware of how those devices interact with our customers and how we could utilize them in order to change the way that claim workflow happens. Because there's certainly opportunity to understand how's that data coming in, and is there a way that we can react to it? When will it be appropriate for the devices to react to the data on their own? When will it be appropriate for the insured or customer to interact with the devices based on the data that's coming out of them? And then when will it be appropriate for their insurance company to step in and interact? And I'm really excited about some of the things that we've been doing in our Claim University, and I'm excited for how the industry can start to add some value-added services to the existing indemnity products that we service and sell today. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you, BJ. Great comments. I'm sure we're going to generate a lot of questions that'll be of interest to everybody. So thank you again for that. Ramon, may I call upon you to share your thoughts and comments on the subject?
Yes, Stephen, thanks so much. And BJ, great to hear from you and the work that Nationwide is doing. And thanks again, Insurance Nexus, for hosting this webinar. There are so many leaders in our space who really want to know more about preventing claims, and whether that's with the Internet of Things, automation, other connected capabilities. I mean, this is a topic that we all need great focus on. I'm aligned with BJ and his thoughts of saying that, look, there are going to be claims and some frequency that will be decreased as a result of the Internet of Things and smart devices. But that being said, I think there are still for this moment in time, what I can foresee, there are going to still be a number of claims that will still enter the walls of our companies. USAA, we have a great mission. Our mission is to protect the financial security of our military members and families, and we take that mission very seriously here. And I'll start my conversation off with such great data insights. For us, with such great insights comes really, really great responsibility to ensure that data is protected. And so at USAA, we are highly committed and highly focused to ensure that as these technologies keep evolving, that we do so in a contained space, and that we provide a level of security that our members have come to expect from USAA. I will say that this type of integration of data between, well, let's say in our case, an insurance company and a policyholder, it's the next great evolution. The same way that we had roads built and cities built, and how people have kind of moved around, electrical domains. I mean, this is a reimagination on how the customer, the policyholder in our situation, is delivering data and feedback back to their company, back to their insurance company. And this level of engagement, I think BJ mentioned a new engagement model. I mean, policyholders they're not just using products and services. I mean, this is the time where we want to integrate. There's a deep level of trust. And to some of BJ's points, can we take further action to protect the financial security if certain data elements are given to us, i.e., the home and connected sensors, or I'll even go to the automobile with a connected behavior-based insurance models out there. Will they deliver data to us, and can we help coach and actually increase driving behavior in that forum? So I think just there's just a whole new level of engagement that we haven't had before. Maybe long gone are the days of interacting with your insurance company once, twice a year. There's definitely going to be a heightened level of engagement. At this time, USAA, we have a bank, and so our members do interact with us very often in the digital medium. And why I mention that is that to truly drive behavior in the connected world, you have to have a level of trust with your customer, in our case, member. And so our members interact with us many times a day with our bank, and we are establishing deeper levels of trust in the insurance space now. But we can't just expect people to turn on a sensor, feed us the data, take additional action. We have to demonstrate that we're gonna provide value, we're gonna provide security, and our behaviors are going to be very personal to that member, that policyholder, that age cohort, that segment who wants to be communicated in their channel of choice. I do think that another element we should consider is that with this great technology, there's going to be collaborations with non-traditional carrier type companies, right? We all leverage vendors to help us provide stellar service when it comes to a claims product. But with this new technology, non-traditional players are going to be a thing of now. And I'll use the example of, just recently at the Consumer Electronics Show that some of us attended, we saw mobile phone companies that were partnering with car companies to deliver the best type of design, right? And so I think that we're all going to be a little more comfortable with partnering with non-traditional players in our space. So I'll move over to kind of the training that BJ talked about. Look, this level of data and integration will also require an upskill for all of our adjusters, both in the field and in the office. Today we leverage minimal amounts of connected data to provide claim solutions. That will change, and we are already testing some of those things right now. But the ability to read some of the data that's required to deliver a claim solution in the very near future will require additional skilling. So we have that, and we understand that it's going to be a big change management that we're going to have to even further initiate. But we also see that that's something that we should be keeping on our radar as well. I'll pause there, Stephen. I think, like I said, I think BJ and I are aligned on many different fronts, but I do want to give the audience time to ask questions.
Thanks, Ramon, very much. While we are waiting for questions from the audience, I've got plenty of them, so no fear, we won't run out of questions. Let me ask each of you to start sort of at the simplest, most obvious question, which is, to the extent that you can share the information, can you tell us a little bit about where any early program successes are starting to appear in your respective businesses around connected claims of any kind, without divulging obviously any confidential information, but just the areas where you see success in terms of adoption and interest on the part of policyholders? BJ, if I could call upon you first.
Yeah, sure. So there's not a lot I can share publicly today, but I think clearly on the auto side, there's been industry-wide and at Travelers in particular, there's been a lot of interest in the telematics world, right? And everybody was using the ODBE devices for a while, the dongles that you actually plug into your car, and then even that has already transformed into mobile devices for many carriers, Travelers included. And so we definitely see some ability to see in real time what's been happening in the cars on that side. On the property side, there hasn't been as much inside the out in the wild, I'll say. We've been mostly focused internally through our Claim University organization to understand how that might happen in the future.
Okay. So does Travelers have any programs that are, publicized around property like, leak detection or anything else like that as yet?
Oh, that's good. Good clarification. So today we have a number of discounts available, obviously, particularly for if you have smart devices, and we're rolling out a new version of our class plan, Quantum Home 2.0. It's in 3 states today, and it will roll out to additional states throughout this year and next year. And we've really set ourselves up for the future in that class plan by having 3 levels of discounts. You have sort of your traditional device discount and your monitored device discount, as many homeowners programs have and have had for a while. And what we've done is we've placed a discount level in the middle to react to as sort of a minimum viable product, right? Like that's the minimum reaction to the fact that people are going to be putting these smart devices in their home. So do you have a smoke detector? Great. Here's your token discount. Almost everybody has a smoke detector. Do you have a fully monitored solution? Great. Here's your discount that you're usually entitled to for that. But in the middle, do you have a device that isn't fully monitored? It doesn't have a third party who's watching it all the time, but it's sending you alerts. And because we know that that gives us at least some opportunity to intervene and reduce the claim volume, or at the very least mitigate the risk or mitigate the claim once it has happened, we're giving a third level of discount in the middle there with our new product.
Great. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I was probing for. So thank you. Ramon, can you share anything from USAA side on programs that are seeing the light of day or early adoption around connected devices? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. We've actually in the claims world specifically, we ran tests regarding the connected device and filing a first notice of loss claim. And so we've gone down that path. We're doing even more testing in that forum. Same for leak detection and the home as well. We ran both test and learns and pilots in both those spaces. Again, looking at and really gathering the learnings on how our members will interact with us. Do they prefer that we are at the scene with them, helping them immediately in that forum? We've learned a lot. I mean, I think our eyes have been opened around some of the things we've learned. What I would say is that those are really specific regarding connectivity. But just recently in Hurricane Harvey and in Irma, we know that our members are looking to us to deliver more solutions. We have to be there with them, even during really tough weather events that were mentioned earlier. And so one of the things that we deployed at the end of last year was we provided near real-time imagery to our members, both before Hurricane Harvey came through the areas that were impacted, and then even afterwards. And so this data integration that we are demonstrating and how we can add additional value to homeowners. I mean, members were coming to us saying, we don't know what our home looks like. We're not allowed to be behind some of the flooded areas. USAA, can you help us out with that? And we absolutely did. We stood up that imaging forum so that they could determine, is their home still there or not? So again, I think that connectivity is one thing, and we were absolutely testing in those forums. But then there's this whole data integration piece that we can be delivering solutions today.
Thank you. Something you said made me think back to something you mentioned earlier, and clearly everybody understands that USAA has established, one of the very highest levels of trust with its members in financial services, and that is likely extending into the insurance side as well. So my question is, I guess, is it your sense from all the early work you've been doing with connected claims that your member base would be willing and interested in sharing what we might call personal data or private data from connected things in exchange for the benefits that you've talked about, preventing and eliminating risk? Is it may be early days to know the answer, but are you encouraged that members in general will see the benefits and enroll in programs?
Yeah, Stephen, I really like that question a lot because it gets asked a lot in my forum. What I would tell you is this. Not everyone is going to be excited about data exchange in a connected home and a connected car. That being said, there's a certain segment of policyholders today, in our case members, who absolutely desire that type of connectivity, who absolutely desire that level of personalization that only can be delivered with this type of data exchange. So what I tell you is I don't want to make a generalization that our membership is one or the other. We have very different segments, and I'm not just referring to age. We have different cohorts of membership that really prefer one way and really prefer another way. And so, if anything, we want to serve all of our members really well, and we know that there is a high level of interest in this type of connectivity with a segment of members.
Thank you. You know what? There's a really interesting lesson for all carriers there, and that is that the expression multi-channel customer experience, multi-channel support, actually is likely to expand now to include those who do and those who don't want to participate in data exchange as well. And you have to support both groups. So thanks for enlightening us. BJ, would you care to either answer that question or any aspect of it in terms of your sense of customer willingness to exchange data for benefits?
Yeah, perfect. So I like a lot of what Ramon said right there, and I think we're trying to take a similar approach here at Travelers. We definitely believe that the data belongs to our customers. It's their data. We have to find a compelling reason for them to want to share it with us, right? And for some, that will be as easy enough as saying, hey, we can help you avoid the bad day. That will be enough for them. They'll, yes, sign me up immediately. For some of them, it'll be, if you allow us to look at this data, we can help you with other things. We can help you by adding these other services and giving you this other value. And then that will be compelling enough that the quid pro quo will work for them. And then there'll always be some customers who are just turned off by that idea, and they don't want to live in that space. And so I totally agree. We have to be willing to meet them where they want to meet us. Another thing that we're thinking about here at Travelers is how can we add value for our agency base as well, right? We've got thousands of independent agents that help us sell our products to many of our customers. We have a direct-to-consumer channel as well, but we really need to find a way to partner with our agents as well and get them to buy in to this ecosystem, understand how we can provide value back to their agency, and is there a way for everybody to participate in the value-added services that might come out of that, so that we can all gain agreement that this data is powerful, it belongs to these customers, but we're going to compel them to share it with us by offering them some world-class services.
Another excellent point, that the distribution profile of each carrier is different. Some agent, some non-agent, some mixed, and I guess we can expect the penetration of connected claims solutions to differ depending on that profile. So thanks for bringing that up. I'm going to turn to I've got literally dozens and dozens of questions sitting here now from our audience. And so just before I turn to that, I just wanted to go back and mention once again that today's webinar is actually being presented by Insurance Nexus in the run-up to the annual Connected Claims Summit coming up this May in Chicago. And I would invite all of you to take a good look at the agenda and the speaker list. Of course, BJ and Ramon are two of those speakers, but there are a number of others, and I encourage you to take a good hard look. And if you agree that this subject is going to get covered in great detail and great breadth from a variety of perspectives, I would invite you to register and take advantage of the discount that's referenced on the screen and the early registration discount that's available, I think through today, if I'm not mistaken. So at any rate, I know that's a bit of a commercial, but it's well intended because the event is absolutely world class. Pardon me. With that, let me turn to some questions from our audience. There's so many here. I guess, BJ, this will be to you with a follow-up by Ramon if he wishes, but how would you envision the claims process changing if the homeowner ignores the advice of a connected device?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
In other words, I guess it means the impact on the claims process if there's a device in place and a program in place, and for whatever reason, the warning, the alert is ignored.
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons why an alert could be ignored, right? It could be well-intentioned. It could be, hey, I saw the alert, but I am in another state. There's nothing I can do about it. Or I was on holiday, right, or on vacation. Or it could be that I didn't, I've gotten false positive alerts in the past, and so I've grown numb to this alert, and so I didn't react to it. There's a number of genuine reasons why our customers might not react to an alert. In those situations, I think obviously, well, let me say it this way. I think regardless of why it happened, I think we're still it would still be appropriate for us to step in and offer the world-class claim service, right? And to say, hey, we're going to fix this problem for you. And we maybe privately we're a little bummed that you didn't do anything about it, but we understand our job is to make sure that the problem is fixed. There might be an appropriate response, right? Like we're trying to become partners with our customers, and if our customers aren't partnering with us, maybe there's a different way to interact with them going forward. Hey, are you actually interested in interacting with us this way? If you are, then let's continue to talk about it. But if you're not, maybe there's a different version of the product that would be more appropriate for them to participate in.
Thanks. I'll just insert there, if I may, that some of the programs I'm familiar with, particularly in connected home security, actually have the capability of being proactive in, for example, turning off water supply when a leak is detected and nobody's at home. So the question may become moot over time as these devices get smarter. Ramon, I wonder whether you have any thoughts about the question on, what happens if somebody ignores an alert?
Yeah, Stephen, I think I'm more aligned with what your perspective is on things. Like, we need to create solutions that make the system effortless for our member. And if that's building in the ability to gain agreement to shut off the water valve on behalf, if that's writing policies in a way that give rather city authorities more capabilities. I think that's a challenge that we have to look. We have to look in the headlights and say, how are we going to overcome that? How can we make this work for members who have very complex lives and have a lot of things going on, especially being deployed throughout their year? So that's definitely one that we would tackle head on, for sure.
Very, very good. Thank you. Here's a question that's specifically addressed for BJ. How do you go about changing the current industry mentality as vendors to the future shift of a team approach? Hold on, there's a little more of that question here. And how do you get customers on board and engage positively without the preconceived attitude of the big bad insurance carrier? To the extent you understand that question, do you want to answer it?
Yeah, sure. So I think something we're doing here at Travelers is we're trying to think of these. There are a number of companies who are manufacturing these devices, and that world today is so fractured that it's impossible to understand exactly what all sensors are out there and what the various solutions are that startups and some established players are creating and curating. But at Travelers, we've tried to think of them not as vendors, but as strategic partners. They're trying to disrupt our industry. We're trying to influence the way they disrupt our industry. And then I think by phrasing the conversation that way, we've had a lot of success internally about the way we think about those companies. And I think as more and more companies start to think about it that way, the individual companies that are the startups, for example, and the established players who are who traditionally would have been thought of as vendors will get used to thinking about themselves as a partner, and it won't be an us versus them mentality anymore. It'll be like, let's partner together to come up with a great solution for our joint customer base. And then all we have to do is get our customers on board. And I think that will actually be easier at that point, because then they're actually buying a tangible device from us, right? Like they're getting an actual thing or set of things that they can put into their house that, yes, reduce their risk and change the way that they will interact with their insurance company, but oftentimes also give them other pieces of mind that aren't exactly insurance related, right? Like, hey, oh great, I know that my daughter got home from school on time today, and I can use the connected cameras to make sure that that my house cleaner was on time and tidy and tidied up appropriately. So I think it starts with making sure that we're thinking about these potential industry disruptors who have business plans that are insurance adjacent, starting to think of them as strategic partners.
Okay, thanks. Ramon, I'm going to restate the question for you in a different way, because it was really a two-part question. One was turning vendors into partners, philosophically and mentally, and the other was gaining customer trust. I'm going to ignore the customer trust question because I believe you've already got that, and you've got a passionate view on that. But in terms of turning your connected claims vendors into behaving and thinking like partners, what can you share there?
Yeah, it's actually a great question. My early thoughts on things are that we do have strategic partners who help influence and deliver a claim solution that don't have a USAA employee ID number. I mean, so when someone goes across the threshold of your home and repairs a water loss, there's a trusted teammate in our member's home who is conducting a repair, a really meaningful repair. And so I think that the connected technology and the connected companies will be the deliverer of data, and how we choose to deliver that data and how we use our teammates today to deliver new services around mitigation, around protection, I think is going to be the way forward, and it's going to be like probably the most near way forward. But I'm confident that we have such a strong network of teammates that it's just going to be a small pivot in what they do for us today, and that they're going to be fully on board with where this industry is headed. I mean, today we still take photos of damage. We don't drop them off at a photo developing center. It's now digital, but we still have to take photos. And I look at that in a very similar way. We're going to have to pivot some of the work that they do, but don't get me wrong. These are really smart industry players that will adapt to the changing connected world. So I feel good about it.
Good. Thank you. I'm just going to read this question exactly as it's posed, so I don't influence your answers here. Do you see providing smart devices and bundled services to your customers as a way of driving new revenue streams, or, pardon me, I'm trying to read small print, or is the view to encourage customers to purchase directly, and in turn, as the carrier, you simply provide the discount classes? So however you interpret that question, I think I've got a take on it, but BJ, can I ask you to start?
Yeah, so the answer is yes, but that's clearly not the whole answer, obviously, right? So I think in the short term, it might be more appropriate for us to be partnering with other established players who are in insurance adjacent roles. But I think it's intuitive that over time, customers could expect their insurance carrier to take on some of those adjacent roles themselves. Certainly, there's efficiency for the customer if we can bundle together some of these insurance and insurance adjacent topics, and in the interest of always making sure that we're giving the customers what they want and meeting them the way they want it, I do think eventually the industry will start to try to absorb some of the insurance adjacent products and services.
Okay, thank you for that answer. Ramon, any perspective from you on whether smart devices are going to create revenue streams or simply more loyal customers?
Yeah, Stephen, what we want to do at USAA is we want to provide the most relevant capability for our members in the insurance space. And we know today that there are members that really would enjoy a more connected ecosystem, a more personalized service exchange, and even more personalized claims solution. And so I would say that our initial thought isn't the profitability of the Internet of Things ecosystem. It really is more about those members today that are underserved and those members today that are served well, and how do we ensure that we provide the most robust, relatable services to our members, insurance services, claim services. It's just that we want to make sure that we are providing what they need. I mean, these individuals who we insure are protecting our country, right? They're protecting our freedom. So let's make it as easy as possible for them. I would say that service is the number one thing we're seeking through this type of effort.
Nobody would argue that's not a worthwhile goal. Thank you. Question here, it's sort of a frontline, down-to-earth adjusting question. Here it is. The technology, and I think the individual is referring to connected claims technology. The technology isn't foolproof, so therefore, how will claims adjudication be affected by technology false positives? And so you can take this question in any direction you like, and maybe it's early days and you don't have enough experience at this, but what's your view, BJ?
Yeah, so as far as false positive results from some of this technology go, I think clearly we'll learn over time. I don't think that we know enough yet about what those false positives look like. In many cases, at least in the early run, we're not talking about intervening yet, right? Someday we will, but I think that part of the dependency of when is it appropriate for us to intervene is knowing that we've got a strong control over a limited number of false positives. So I think it's a good point. I think it makes a dependency on how the industry starts to proactively react to claims.
Okay, Ramon?
I think it's really about it goes back to trust. And if you have this really cemented trust with your policyholder base, and if we deploy someone to come to your home to help mitigate a water damage claim, and there was a false positive, knowing that USAA or a partner of USAA showed up to your home to try to help you, I do think there's a level of forgiveness that's going to be tolerated in the early days. What I think it's really it's incumbent on the insurers that we have the right data, we have the right skilled data scientists, I'll say in a generalized term, and that we are continuously improving our analytical capabilities so that, yes, in the early days, there may be false positives and it may require some manual intervention, but over the course of time, the models get more accurate, and I believe there's a decreased amount of false positives. But again, I'll start by saying that, if we're trying to do the right thing, trying to help out folks who may have, in this situation, maybe a water claim, I do think there's a level of forgiveness that we would be given as well.
Thanks. As I've thought about your responses and this question itself, I'd like to elevate the question a little bit because I think it'll be interesting. So here's my version of this question, which is the profile of the claims adjusters that we all knew yesterday, the legacy claims adjuster, the auto adjuster, the field inspector who would be standing at a collision repair shop, looking at a damaged vehicle, writing an estimate alongside a technician at the shop, and sending it back or bringing it back to the home office, etc. That profile, as we can understand from today's discussions, is changing rapidly and dramatically. And tomorrow's claims adjuster is likely to need to have a completely different set of skills. Probably looking at a data screen, interpreting connected device data that's flowing in real time from a vehicle that just reported, an airbag deployment, likely indicating an accident, etc. So with that little scenario that I just drew, what are your respective companies doing, if anything yet, unless it's too early, about getting ready for the skill sets required for the claims adjuster of the future? BJ, I'll put you on the spot first.
Yeah, so the good news at Travelers is like I mentioned earlier, we have that claim university, and that has, besides having the property lab that I referred to, it also has an auto lab that has 50 damaged vehicles, many of them with all the new sensors that exist, and we also have for more even the liability side, we have the Travelers Medical Advantage, which is a multi-station medical lab. It's got ways to look at virtual claims, concierge. We're really looking at how that data can be made digestible by the frontline claim experts, and then training them up on what does that data tell you and what hints can it give you, because it doesn't solve the whole problem, right? The additional information that we can get from the car that was just in the accident can help a lot. It can tell you the front was damaged and the back was damaged. Before you even get there, well, if the front and the back were damaged, then the whole middle was probably damaged as well. And I know I'm probably getting myself into a totaled vehicle claim, for example. So we're trying to find the most appropriate ways to feed that information to our frontline claim representatives, and we're utilizing Claim University to enact that learning en masse.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that to mean you're already working on it. Thank you. Ramon, what about USAA and new skills?
Yeah, I'm aligned. I believe that the ability to read a dashboard with data, the ability to have, extremely high emotional talent and capabilities, because let's face it, when our adjusters do intervene, there may be times when the train has fallen off the tracks. And how do I help put the train back on the tracks and let it go, let it move forward? We do have a really innovative new capability that we're working on today. So this is today. Jobs will look a little bit different, and we have a very robust training, change management schema that we have put together, and that we are down the road on deploying this for the impacted adjusters. And so what I would say is that we are working on it as well. But I'll just caveat that, the job's not changing extremely, different tomorrow, but they're going to change in just a bit. And I think that we need to give credit to all of the adjusters in our community of adjusters that today they have a lot of high skills today that may not be fully utilized because they are doing many more manual level type entries. And maybe this is a way that when we get to a more automated environment with new technology, that we can maximize the skill sets that they already possess.
Great, thanks. I was expecting those answers, but I wanted to hear more about them. Going back to the question list here, this may be an unfair question in terms of your areas of responsibility, but let's try. Are there instances of using technology like blockchain in claims that is in use in the industry? So either in your company or in the industry as you might know it. Seems like there's always a blockchain question no matter what the topic is. So any comments on blockchain in claims?
Yeah, sure. I'll go. So I'm not aware of any uses in the industry today, but I think that there are clearly possible uses for truly automating the claim payment process via blockchain. There's going to be some types of claims where the device can tell the insurance company that there was a claim and how bad the claim was, and what the some estimated level of severity, and perhaps the industry can get comfortable allowing those types of claims to be automatically settled using blockchain technology. I think that there's a way that we could get there. It's probably a little futuristic, and you'd have to prove out that the cost savings of or the efficiencies gained by allowing that to happen automatically are enough to absorb the possible inappropriate level of payment for the claim. But I think there probably is a world for some subset of smaller, less complicated claims where that could happen. I think maybe the travel insurance industry is probably like the most likely candidate to lead the way in that space, because it's easy to know, did the planes get canceled? Did a weather event happen? Great, here, let's reimburse this person automatically. We don't have to get someone involved.
Good point. I actually saw a presentation from Berkshire Hathaway Travel Group on their flight delay insurance. It does exactly work like that. So, good point. Ramon, anything about blockchain going on in your group or impacting the work you're doing?
Yes, sir. Blockchain and claims is in our portfolio of work. We have work against it today, and we're part of a large industry consortium, where we're looking at different avenues with blockchain. But I would say that at USAA we do have work, and we do have resources really dedicated to seeing how blockchain can deliver claim solutions.
Okay, thanks. Ramon, you'll be pleased with this question. It's a half a statement and a half a question, but I know you're going to enjoy it. As a 34-year member of USAA, pardon me, I feel strongly that I can trust them with my data. I do, though, believe that simple real-world proofs can drive adoption. Calling me or texting me when a hailstorm is approaching so that I can move my car into the garage is a very, pardon me, is a very simple way to quickly earn this level of trust. So there's a compliment for USAA, but more importantly, I guess a sort of a point made that it doesn't have to be a complex transaction in order to be a valuable one. And I wonder whether either of you have thoughts on what we'll call low-hanging fruit opportunities to gain trust through simple transactions.
Yeah, I'll take this one first. And first, appreciate the 34 years of membership and your military affiliation. Thanks for your service. We have executed upon proactively messaging our members when there are occurrences that we know something is going to happen, right? So whether it's a hurricane, a planned type catastrophe, we have taken proactive measures to provide that type of detail to our members. As far as hailstorms right now, I know that our position has been that the data and the weather patterns and weather forecasting just hasn't been robust enough for us to want to take the next step and to provide to members so that we can begin initiating either moving your car inside to your garage or something similar to that. That being said, we do have a wonderful leader who has full responsibility and accountability for kind of taking a hard look at when a catastrophe is going to happen. How do we execute on pre-event notifications? And hail is one of the many different perils that are being looked at currently on how we can do a better job of notifying our members. So I completely agree. There's ways in which we can leverage data today. And I think that's what I was trying to drive at with this kind of aerial imagery thing that we had created. There's ways that we can use data today that would begin laying down the trust between data exchange between members and USAA. So I certainly appreciate the question. We're working on it.
Thank you.
Anything
else?
I was just going to say that was sort of beautifully put. I wouldn't want to add too much more, actually.
Okay, I think I have to agree with that. Before I move to the last couple of questions, I want to respect everybody's time today. Again, I apologize for this pesky cough. It comes up when I least expect it. I do want to remind everybody that the webinar is being presented in the run-up to the Connected Claims Conference, without repeating myself too often here. And I want to invite everybody to look at the link that's on the screen, or that you'll receive in an email. Take a good look at the conference, to look at the speakers, the agenda, the vendors themselves, the topics and the themes, and decide if you'd like to attend in May. I hope to see you all there. I'm going to present one or two more questions and try to get everybody back to work here. As automation, IoT, and connected devices lowers claims over time, I think that means claims and costs over time, do you expect premiums to also fall? And if so, does the rise of these services present opportunities for insurance companies to deliver new products and services or increase their revenues? So we've touched on a little of this, in some of the comments, but let's take a fresh run at it. I know you folks don't represent your underwriting groups, and you may not be able to answer the question in full, but BJ, I'll ask you to take a start at it.
Sure, certainly. So certainly as devices help avoid claims, that can have an impact on total loss costs and therefore pure premium. And so then, of course, it would be inappropriate to continue to charge the same level of premium we do today. And so I think the basic economic answer is that, of course, if you're reducing the risk, then you're reducing the need for the premium that mitigates that risk. So, but I do believe that there'll also be some transfer of risk, because in some ways we'll move toward ensuring that the devices that have eliminated the risk are truly going to work, right? So there'll be some leftover loss cost potential that'll need to be, and pure premium potential that'll need to be charged for in that space. And then I do believe that because we're already offering that risk mitigation service, there should be some ways for the industry to find other ways to increase revenue by offering those value-added services. But they got to be the right ones, and they got to be for the right people, right? We got to design the right products for the right cohorts of people.
Okay, thanks very much. Ramon, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. Good with those comments.
Good. You don't want to go there. Let me see what else we've got. I think that might be everything I had in front of me. And so there's no harm in ending a minute or so early here and getting everybody back to work. I want to really thank you both very much, BJ and Ramon, for taking the time to participate today, and for your input and for your thought leadership in the industry. I look forward to seeing you at the conference. Thank you all for attending today or listening at some point in the future to the recording. And we appreciate your ongoing interest and support in these topics. Thanks very much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Stephen. Hope you feel better.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for inviting me, team.
Take care. We'll see you soon.